Hello, many thanks for staying with us on Channels Television, and you're welcome to News at 5. I'm Ayotunde Balugum. We start off from the National Assembly, where the Senate has completed the screening of all 67 ambassadorial nominees forwarded to the National Assembly by President Bola Tinubu, wrapping up a week of scrutiny and a heated confrontation on the floor. Now, the first batch of 3 nominees were screened last week, while the remaining 64, comprising 34 career and non-career candidates, were processed in 2 additional batches by the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs. Among those screened were prominent former government officials, including 2 ex-ministers, a former chief of army staff, 2 serving ambassadors, and several former lawmakers. Notable nominees included Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, a former INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, a former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Abdurrahman Dambazau, a former Minister of Aviation, Mr. Femi Fani-Kayode, Senator Ita Enang, Senator Grace Bent, and former Enugu State Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi. And most of the former ministers, ambassadors, and lawmakers were asked to take a bow and leave after brief introductions. Defending the practice, the Senate leader, Senator Kwemi Bamidele, clarified that the courtesy is extended to individuals with established and verifiable public service records, already well known to sitting lawmakers. However, the otherwise smooth proceedings were disrupted during the consideration of non-career nominees when tensions flared over the recommendation that Mr. Reno and others be asked to take a bow and leave. The House of Representatives has asked the federal government to immediately grant tax waivers to airlines to reduce flight fares this Yuletide season. The House is also calling for the reduction in auxiliary charges in the aviation industry by 50%. These resolutions were reached following a debate on the high cost of flight fares, where federal lawmakers kicked against subsidizing air prices. As part of efforts to deepen service rewards, or civil service reforms rather, a former Assistant Inspector General of Police, Hilda Ebiforo Harrison, is advocating the need for civil and public servants to be openly rewarded in order to enhance performance and quality service delivery. Speaking in Abuja at a summit organized by Integrity Icon Nigeria, Mrs. Ebiforo Harrison says there is a need for Nigerians to celebrate exemplary public servants who demonstrate honesty and integrity in service in order to inspire reform-minded leadership across the public sector. She explains that the open reward system, as against sanctions, will help in curbing corruption and poor service delivery by officials who lack motivation due to inadequate working tools.
Perhaps the most overlooked problem is that the public service has never lacked responsible public servants. It has only lacked a culture of celebrating them. Across the country, there are honest, hardworking officers, civil servants championing integrity and delivering results quietly without visibility or rewards. Our system must change to appreciate those who are diligent in service. Their stories rarely make headlines, yet their efforts are the backbone of governance, and good governance at that. Civil service reform scholarship identifies lack of performance recognition mechanisms as a structural deficiency, and a 2023-2024 academic review of reward management systems shows that in many civil services, including Nigeria, there is inadequate performance recognition. With transparency around rewards and bureaucratic delays in promotions or increments. All these factors that disincentivize integrity in public service and ethical conduct should be done away with.
Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Yutsev, says the ministry is strengthening ties with the Federal Character Commission to guarantee fair access to water and sanitation services nationwide. The ministry stresses that every community will be carried along under the Renewed Hope agenda. Professor Youssef disclosed this in Abuja during a courtesy visit by the acting executive chairman of the Federal Character Commission, Mr. Kayode Oladile. He highlighted ongoing projects across all 6 geopolitical zones, including the SPIN project to revive dams, boost hydropower, and expand irrigation alongside sanitation campaigns. In his remarks, Mr. Oladile said the partnership will drive a data-based mapping of water infrastructure gaps and ensure fair location of new projects with priority for communities where women and children still travel long distances for water.
Our constitutional mandate is broader: to promote and enforce equitable distribution of social and economic infrastructure across the Federation. This includes water resources, dams, irrigation, sanitation projects, and other related facilities. It is in recognition of this mandate that we seek greater collaboration with your ministry to ensure that water-related infrastructure and services reach every part of Nigeria, and it reaches them fairly, especially undeserved and vulnerable communities.
Now, in its effort to fight drug abuse, the Kano state government has revived the activities of the Kano Reformative Center, calling for the formation of a force to protect the youth, safeguard communities, and help rebuild the state's moral and social foundations. Now, the coordinator of the Kano Reformative Center, Mrs. Cheryl Kwaga, stated this during a summit in Kano. Meanwhile, the district head of Shanono in the Kano Emirate, Mr. Bashir Mohammed, who represented the Emir of Kano, His Royal Majesty Muhammad Sanusi II, called religious and community leaders, parents and youth groups to collectively support the ongoing fight against drug and substance abuse in Kano State. Our correspondent, Nanchin Vincent, tells us more.
A 3-day stakeholder summit organized by the Kano Reformative Center continues to push for a coordinated offensive against drug networks aimed at curbing drug-related criminality in the state. The summit is part of the center's strategy to create awareness about the dangers of drug abuse and supports its rehabilitation work, which has successfully treated over 3,000 persons in 2025, underscores the rising rate of drug addiction.
Every day we witness firsthand the consequences of drug abuse, broken home, shattered dreams, rising insecurity, and young lives drifting into hopelessness.
Organizers give assurances of improved intelligence sharing, stronger enforcement, and better synergy among agencies.
The security agencies do the arrest, and after arrest, beating and something doesn't change an individual. But when he goes through proper counseling and proper rehabilitation, then there will be a progress to the rehabilitation. And that's why we said a collaborative effort, a joint effort. Then if you go in the communities, the religious leaders are there as the mentors to guide them spiritually and all.
Security agencies outline a unified strategy to confront what they describe as a growing threat to public safety and youth development.
Let us recognize the menace of drug and substance abuse is real in Kano, and it is killing our youth, killing their future, which we cannot afford. So we need to start from the grassroots, from, like one of the speakers said, from the home. Let us watch our kids, watch who their friends are, who do they move around, and then monitor their behavior. Once you see see a change in the behavior of your child, suspect something.
This has brought us together to sit down again and rewrite our alphabet where we have got it wrong and where we're supposed to put the peg in the right hole. This also will encourage us to see it that it is not only an NDLA affair, it is everybody's business.
The security agencies have also aligned with the call by the Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, who is rallying support in Kano State for the revival of traditional norms and community structures in the fight against drug abuse. From Kano Commercial City, Nanchin Vincent, Channels Television News.
The Lagos Sector Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps, the FRSC, has held its 2025 Ember Month Public Enlightenment and Sensitization Campaign with the theme, Take Responsibility for Your Safety, Don't Drink and Drive. This event engaged other security stakeholders, road unions and residents on critical road safety issues, particularly alcohol-related accidents during the festive season. It mapped out actionable measures to curb accidents like deployment of FRSC officers and marshals to federal highways and accident-prone areas, strengthening collaboration between its sister security agencies, among others.
Data from crash investigation conducted by the command shows that alcohol-related impairment remains a significant factor in nighttime and weekend crashes, especially within entertainment corridors and intercity departure routes during festive seasons. Road safety is the duty of every individual drivers, passengers, pedestrians, vehicle owners, fleet operators, transport unions, business operators, community leaders, parents, and corporate organizations. We must acknowledge that the journey toward zero crashes and zero fatalities is ongoing. The Federal Road Safety Corps remains resolute in its mandate. Our enforcement shall remain firm and impartial.
When we come back after the break, participants say investment in women is important at the Lagos Women Economic Empowerment Summit. Join us again. Welcome back to News at 5 here on Channels Television. Intentional investment in women is key to inclusive growth and prosperity in any society. This was the consensus at a high-level capacity strengthening session on its Women Economic Empowerment Policy in Lagos.
The Women's Economic Empowerment Policy is the result of months of conferencing and exchange of ideas amongst officials of the Lagos State Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, alongside other gender strategies. This capacity building session for top officials from across 11 MDAs in the state present a platform for government, development partners, and the private sector to articulate the vision required to drive the policy.
Thank you for coming. And gentlemen of the press.
And the State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation sets the tone for the implementation of the document with a call to action from public and private institutions.
Integrate the Lagos We policy into your planning, operations, and annual budgets. This document must not sit on the shelf. It should guide programs design, funding decisions, and performance measurements. Second, it should strengthen gender-responsive finance and procurement systems. Every budget cycle and procurement window presents an opportunity to expand access for women-led MSMEs and female entrepreneurs across sectors.
In her presentation, the Executive Director, Policy Innovation Center, argues strongly in favor of the need for the private sector to move from commitments to action in the adoption of the Women Policy document.
So where we are now with the We policy is looking at the opportunities for the future. We can strengthen access to finance. We can expand access to digital technology. We can build capacity and skills. We can begin to leverage public-private sector collaboration. We can look at the regulatory and institutional strengthening, part of what we're doing today. And finally, we can support special groups and persons with disabilities.
And for other gender advocates, it is critical for institutions to prioritize budgeting in the implementation of the Women Economic Empowerment document.
Of what use is having a fantastic implementation policy if you're not able to tell how much it will cost to implement? So what we just finished is looking at the policy, looking at the strategic pillars, looking at these objectives, prioritizing the objectives, and if we have to cost, we know that resources would always be limited. So there's a need to be able to prioritize which of the objectives should come first.
The Women Economic Empowerment Policy is expected to improve access to opportunities for women in 5 strategic pillars, including agriculture, entrepreneurship, employment, industries, education, and skill acquisition.
The Nigerian Air Force has announced plans to strengthen flight safety and operational efficiency following a string of recent incidents, including the crash of an Alpha jet in Niger State and the emergency landing of a C-130 aircraft in Burkina Faso. Speaking in Abuja at a briefing to unveil his command philosophy, the chief at the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sunday Aneke, inaugurated a high-level operational and safety audit committee, marking his first major assignment as the chief of the Air Staff. Now, he explains that there is a need to ensure operational safety at all times in the fight against insecurity.
Engagement of the Chief of Air Staff as senior officers, both serving and retired, converged on the Blue Room at the Air Force headquarters to witness the unveiling of the command philosophy of the new helmsman in office.
Everyone is expected to assemble at the muster point.
With military precision, the Chief of Air Staff announced his command philosophy, which he hinged on operational safety and welfare of personnel.
My command philosophy is to enhance and sustain a highly motivated, professional, and mission-ready force capable of delivering decisive air power effects in synergy with surface forces for the realization of national security objectives.
As a result of recent aviation incidents, which underscore the urgency of strengthening safety culture, data-driven decision-making, and predictive maintenance, the Chief of Air Staff inaugurates a special committee to conduct an independent audit of selected operational, engineering, and armament units.
The primary objective of this committee is to provide an independent audit of the current state of some operations, engineering, armament units, including our general safety. Sir, your findings will shape my understanding of the gaps in this unit and identify areas where we can enhance both safety as well as operational efficiency and effectiveness.
The inauguration, which aligns with his newly unveiled command philosophy, is built around 6 key drivers: prioritizing personnel welfare, modernizing the order of battle, standardizing training, intelligence-driven operations, predictive maintenance, and deepening innovation and strategic partnerships. The committee, made up of retired senior Air Force officers, is mandated to assess risks, identify vulnerabilities, and recommend measures to improve safety, efficiency, and effectiveness across all Nigerian Air Force formations.
A devastating accident on Zaria Road near Jos Stadium has claimed the lives of 8 University of Jos students, leaving 2 others seriously injured. According to the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, Plateau State Sector Command, the incident occurred around 2:30 a.m. opposite Unity Bank, involving a trailer and a bus carrying 11 students. Emergency responders discovered 7 students had died on the spot, while another succumbed to injuries at the hospital, bringing the total fatalities to 8. The remaining 3 students are receiving treatment. An eyewitness revealed that the bus was traveling at high speed and attempted a risky overtaking maneuver, losing control and then colliding with the trailer. Authorities have already called for caution on the roads, especially at night. Welcome to Business News. Nigeria's total merchandise trade rose to 38.9 trillion naira in the third quarter of this year, 2025, reflecting steady momentum in the country's external sector. According to the latest foreign trade in goods statistics report by the National Bureau of Statistics, the figures represent a 2.36% jump when compared to the 38.04 trillion naira numbers recorded in the second quarter of this year. A key highlight of the report shows that exports accounted for 58.59% of total trade, with a value of 22.8 trillion naira, which represents 0.28 rise against the 22.75 trillion naira value recorded in the second quarter of this year. A further analysis shows that crude oil remains Nigeria's dominant export commodity, with a value of 12.81 trillion naira, representing 56.14% of total exports for Q3, while non-crude oil exports accounted for 43.86% or 10.01 trillion naira of total exports. At the same time, exports of agricultural produce stood at 786.62 billion naira, reflecting a 37.39% drop compared to 1.26 trillion in Q2 of 2025. Raw material exports rose by 26.83% quarter-on-quarter to 1.04 trillion naira, while solid mineral exports rose by 30.41 quarter-on-quarter percent to 100.81 billion naira. Officials of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission have sealed the Ikeja Electric Distribution Company IKEDC offices in Alausa in Lagos over alleged violations of consumer rights. Engineer Idayat Olorunbe, who represented the FCCPC's Director of Surveillance and Investigation, Bola Adeyinka, says the action became necessary after multiple failed attempts to compel the Electricity Distribution Company to obey a Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission directive. The Consumer Protection Agency explains that the NERC, that's the NERC, had ordered Ikeja Electric to unbundle a maximum demand account into 20 separate non-MD accounts to reflect 19 residential units and a service point owned by a complainant.
This real estate that you people were supposed to step down into 20 accounts, they came NEC ruled in 2023. You refused to oblige. These people came to FCCPC April 2025. We gave a compliance notice. October 2025, again, no response from IKEDC. So at this point, we have passed the level of
technical session.
So now it is enforcement now. We have come to enforce. After we seal off the premises, then we can now talk.
The Corporate Affairs Commission has introduced new compulsory requirements for all business name online update requests effective immediately. According to a statement posted on its X account on Wednesday, applicants must now provide additional personal and contact details to strengthen verification processes and enhance record accuracy for registered businesses. The Commission explained that the updated requirements are part of ongoing reforms aimed at improving documentation integrity, preventing fraud, and ensuring seamless communication with business proprietors. The Federal Executive Council has approved 5 major memoranda from the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, including Nigeria's long-awaited Industrial Policy 2025, the procurement of electricity buses, and key infrastructure projects in Lagos. Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Senator John Eno, who briefed State House correspondents after the meeting chaired by President Bola Tinubu, said 3 of the approved submissions fall under industry, while 2 relate to trade and investment. One of the approvals include the supply of 200 electric buses to the National Automotive Design and Development Council, a move Senator Eno said will strengthen Nigeria's automotive development agenda and accelerate the country's shift to cleaner mobility. The Council also approved 187.8 billion naira for the design and construction of the Bank of Industry headquarters at the Eko Atlantic City in Lagos. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has appointed Nigerian industrialist Aliko Dangote as the pioneer chairman of the ECOWAS Business Council, a newly established platform aimed at strengthening private sector engagement and boosting economic integration across the West African sub-region. The announcement was made at the 95th Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Council of Ministers held in Abuja, where ECOWAS Commission President Dr. Omar Toure revealed that Dangote's extensive business experience across West Africa and the continent made him the ideal choice to lead the council. The appointment underscores ECOWAS's commitment to deepening economic cooperation and leveraging the region's entrepreneurial leadership to accelerate collective growth. And that's the news at 5 at this time. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun.